to just chat. So we've got a $10 super from Nakatu, who said, spoiler season is my favorite time of year. Wonder if we will hear from Sinestra. Dude. Yes. So, I mean, I wasn't saying we will, but Sinestra, there's so much potential there. So, if you're not aware, right, Sinestra was the consort of Deathwing. That's certainly not to imply that that is a relationship that's all about, love. Because, it's some fucking gnarly shit, to be real with you. But Sinestra is, heavily influenced by the Void. And for a while we thought that Sinestra was dead, because, of course, we defeat her in Bastion of Twilight, which was the very first raid instance of the Cataclysm expansion. Well, one of the first 3. They came out in a trio. And, we defeated her. But it turns out, we find this out in the Shaman Order Hall questline in Legion. We find out that she is still active somehow. And then we see Vexiona in Nyalotha. And there was this thing that was teased where there's loads of Twilight Dragon eggs underneath Grimbatal. And that's when Vexiona and all that stuff happened in BFA. And that's all stuff that Sinestra had been planning. So Sinestra's out there, but we just don't know where. We don't know. Now, she's heavily connected to Void, so I imagine that whenever we next see Ashara and Xalatath, I think that's when we're next going to see her as well. So I think that'll be pretty neat. Voidheim dropped a $5 super saying, I think the ultimate final boss of all Warcraft will be Murky. Fuck yeah. I do actually wonder, though, and Fatboy Tack also dropped a $2 super just saying the final boss is trying to stop a bigger threat. They need to not do that this time around, and in fairness, I don't think they will. I really don't. I think it'll just be hey, I was about to talk about the Infinites. I think it'll be the Infinites doing infinite things for their own reasons. That said, actually, no. Let me show you something again, come to think of it. Because now this would be that, but this has been established in the game before. So we're going to go to Morazond. And I'm going to show you Morazond's final dialogue. Now, Morazond is what happens to Nozdormu whenever he turns into an infinite dragon. There's loads of different hints behind, how that happened. Like, he sees his own death, and then we think that the bad boys, the old gods maybe had something to do with that. But here's his quote, right? At last, it has come to pass, the moment of my demise. The loop is closed. My future self will cause... Oh, so that's what he says. No. What Morazond says is, you know not what you have done. Aman'Thul, what I have seen. And that's crazy, because just to get us a little visual aid for the Titans and to show you something very important. Look at that, just a nice little glide. So Valdrakken is the home of the Dragonflights that we know. It's also Team Titan. Team Aman'Thul. Isn't it, right? So, the Primal Elementalists, who are the ostensible main threat that we're dealing with right now in this new expansion, who are our first raid tier, they do not like the Titans. What if the Infinite Dragons also do not like the Titans and are trying to undo their work? So a pairing happens between Morazon's Infinites and the Primal Elementalists. Right? So maybe that is a little bit of evidence that actually points us towards that. I think that would be kind of interesting. Kind of wild. Alexander dropped a super saying, what are your opinions on opening the Visage form? Oh, wait, I talked about it. There was a really good super that I wanted to do it justice. There is one here from Vampire Bats. Dropped us $5 saying, I really hope that feature is a glyph. I mained a Worgen for a while, and I enjoy the fantasy of being in human form, but I couldn't bother to switch. Yeah, I've got really good news for you. Really good news for you. So if I go to Wowhead, because, hey, if it's WoW news, they do cover it. And if I go to the Blue Tracker, one of their feedback posts that they posted very recently, I think, had an update for us on this. Was it Feedback Evokers? Or maybe it was in a Drakthir thread. Yeah, here we go. In the next build, Drakthir will no longer switch to Visage when getting an amount, flight path, etc. Additionally, they will have a new racial ability called Chosen Identity that you can, quote, activate to automatically assume your Visage whenever you leave combat or after soaring. Chosen Identity will stay toggled on until manually deactivated. So this means you will always be a dragon boy. If you want to turn into an elf, then you have an ability that does that. What else have they done? Azure Strike will behave a bit more consistently. That's interesting. And I guess they just have some stuff here, some updates for the empowered spells. And they're still digging through feedback in the talents. Hey, nice to see them being responsive in the beta, isn't it? Like, that's new. It didn't feel like that in the past. Yeah, so here's the super I wanted to do some justice to this one. It's from Colby Peterson, and Colby said, realistically, do you think Blizzard will have the game actually be ready by December release date? Or is it going to be a mess of glitches and bugs? I think that depends on how you play the game. Because look, if you play World of Warcraft, and the reason why you play it is what my screen is pointed at right now. Big, beautiful fantasy adventure. I think that they will have the world working great. I think that the way that they are testing these zones... now, I can't say this for sure. It's more likely than in the past, perhaps. Because they are doing very targeted one zone by one zone by one zone testing, that zone-related bugs will be dealt with pretty good. With the talent system, they... Reading in between the lines... I mean, obviously it's different for Evoker because it's brand new, but in between the lines, these talents are not really adding anything new for you. They're not adding like crazy new abilities for the most part. They're just codifying the things that you already had into one place. Blizzard said that they have chosen to spend more time focusing on iteration. And when I look at that, I think, okay, so you've made the new talents, you're going to spend your time on iterating them, and there's no crazy new abilities really for us to be using. That makes me think that they are really realizing that it is about quality. The quality of delivery of what actually gets out there. So I think on those fronts, like, you might not like the way your class goes, but I think in terms of the core usability stuff, it seems like we're going to be getting maybe less absurd, crazy new shit from like a systems perspective, but more in the way of just iterating on what's there. So it's nice and polished when it arrives, and hopefully balanced too. Now, there are interesting things as we start to talk about content this time around, though. So let me get the quote. This was from Krendor. You know what? I hadn't checked in with Krendor in such a long time. It was just great to see Blizzard went and chatted to him on the interview. There's just something about Krendor's sense of humor. You know, I've always loved it. I've always loved it. Okay, so I want to find the Krendor interview, because what this has got, I think that's going to make you, Colby, kind of, hopefully a bit excited. I mean, hopefully, assuming they actually deliver on it, of course. If I could just find the darn thing. Krendor. Should just appear in a search of their... Oh no, there's just, of course, the Great Belt of the Krendor. It was from the WoW Krendor interview with Ian. Perhaps, interview? Interview? Hello? News? You know those times when it feels like you've completely just gaslit yourself? I know this Krendor thing exists. Maybe I have to click... No, I think beta doesn't matter for their newsfeed. When you click beta, that's just... That is just the database. Anyway, okay. I'll get it up at some other point. But basically, what Ian said to Krendor, I think it was Ian, was that their intent is to ship a higher quantity of smaller patches. And I think for the average player of the game, that is a good thing. Because look, what if they have a new bit of world content ready, but a raid is holding that back because the raid isn't ready? I mean, well, okay, give us the world content. We'll play that, we'll enjoy it, and then we'll enjoy the raid when that happens. And it just means that for World of Warcraft, there will be more shit going on. There will be more of a patch cycle, more things going on, you know? So, yeah, I think that'll be great. Assuming they deliver on it. I mean, they do actually have an entire new development team working in World of Warcraft. They're from a company called the Proletariat. It's an interesting situation, actually, where the Proletariat, they made a game called Spellbreak. I'll get it up in Steam here. And it really is kind of sad, because I look at Spellbreak, and, I mean, here it is, right? An 85 in Steam. And it is, I mean, definitely a different visual aesthetic to World of Warcraft. and it's a battle royale, so it's a very different game. But the thing about this company is they are formed a lot of MMO veterans from companies like Turbine. So they're actually quite geared towards MMOs as developers anyway. They've been working in the fantasy genre with a live service game. I mean, that's quite beautiful there, isn't it? So unfortunately, though, this game did not hit the critical mass that it needed to be financially viable. So Blizzard Entertainment actually acquired the company. And that means that Blizzard has got 100 more developers working on the World of Warcraft team than they did like just a few months ago. That's in addition to them just scaling up the size of Blizzard anyway. They've been hiring like crazy motherfuckers over the last while. So all of those things do point to more of an ability to deliver on that patch promise that they laid out. Hopefully they are able to do that.